This is a WHO definition, the WHO definition. So, vaccine hesitancy refers to delay in acceptance or refusal of vaccination despite availability of vaccination services. Vaccine hesitancy is complex and context-specific, varying across time, place, and vaccines. It is influenced by factors such as complacency, convenience, and confidence. I will explain that after. So, as you can see, there are patients who accept all vaccines, some who accept but are not sure, and the vaccine hesitancy are patients who accept some, delay vaccine or refuse some vaccines. And some people refuse all vaccines, and they don't have any demand of vaccination. So to explain complacency is the fact that you don't perceive a need for a vaccination. You do not value the vaccine. Confidence in the level of trust in vaccine or provider. And convenience is the access of vaccination. You can see that there are a lot of determinants as patients. I won't tell all the determinants. And in this survey, you can see in red the proportion of patients who strongly disagree or tend to disagree to some subjects like like vaccines are important for children to have, or overall I think vaccines are safe, or overall I think vaccines are effective. And you can see that the red is almost in all countries. Okay, here I just want to show, I'm going very quick because Marion has to go. So in Europe we can see that we are the region with the least confidence of vaccine safety. Professor Anne-Marie Moulin, you are a tropical specialist, you are qualified in philosophy, and you are Emeritus Director of Researches in SPER in the CNRS in Paris. And you took part to a French citizen consultation about vaccination, and you don't have conflict of interest. Can you tell us how did the European tendency to vaccine hesitancy happened?
Thank you, Chloé. Firstly, I thank the organizers, and I want to apologize to the public that I have to go because I have to take care of my old mother. I will say a brief word on the issue of vaccination and democracy. We are all concerned in European countries with this issue. And in France, following a report from a senator to our Minister of Health, we had a committee who organized what we can call a mini parliament in science on the issue of vaccinations. But before to give you the conclusion of our committee for the ministry, I will say a word on the history of vaccination. I think it's important because in the past, in the 18th century, we had already a kind of vaccines. In fact, it was a ritual to preserve against smallpox. You can see on the picture, it was the introduction of smallpox pustule powder into the person's nostrils, and alternatively, it was also performed through a needle. Which is important is that from the very beginning of methods for preventing epidemic diseases in the individual, we had two elements that we have still to consider today when we are discussing vaccine hesitancy. It's firstly that there was kind of scientific idea behind that. I mean, it was the observation that the smallpox occurs only once in your life, and that you can hope convey protection against the next epidemic with procuring a mild form of the disease. That was the scientific idea behind that. But you have a second element. It was in the context of a ritual. And the people tried to pray and to ask for divinities, geniuses, whatever, to protect them. So I think still today, we have to consider two elements. The scientific one, which will be presented to you next. And the second is social phenomena such as belief, trust, and adhesions. And vaccinology, which is the modern word for all this interdisciplinary work about vaccination, we have to consider the two. Just to remind you that smallpox inoculation traveled to the West from China and from the Ottoman Empire, with, if there are some British here, with Lady Mary Montagu, the wife's ambassador, who inoculated against smallpox her own son in the image on the right. My second point will be that even in the past, it became very rapidly a state monopoly. In fact, sovereigns considered increasingly their population as a flock. The idea of herd immunity will come later. And they were entrusted by protection, which was shown to be mathematically, statistically important compared with the severe havoc caused by smallpox. So when Dr. Jenner protected, vaccinated, the word existed at that time, for the first time, an English boy in 1798 with cowpox, an animal disease protecting against smallpox, statesmen were very eager to adopt it. A good example is the way the Jenner vaccine diffused throughout the world. For the Spanish people, the vaccine cruise led by Dr. Belnis in 1803, funded by the king himself, reached Latin America and beyond. At that time, the population seemed to be very enthusiastic and rushed to be inoculated. But in fact, very rapidly, population were not always so enthusiastic, and they reacted strongly to the violence involved by the state decrees. Example is the vaccination of the poor in the English streets, and it was so strong that the British had to drop compulsory vaccination against smallpox at the beginning of the 20th century, and never resumed it, as you know. There were other examples of resistance. For example, in Rio, for Brazilians, there was the riot in Rio after law made vaccination compulsory in 1903. Rivolta de Vacina, it was a bloody week which lasted for 8 days and caused many deaths when people were deported to an island. And in the Soviet Union, once, after the revolution, to be vaccinated was a duty for the citizen. Nowadays, we can watch with our Russian friends that people are rejecting vaccination because for them, it's linked to the Soviet regime. Yet in New York, when polio vaccine experimental trials started, people were very enthusiastic. You can see the children offering their arm to the vaccination. President Roosevelt supported it, and in France it became compulsory in France in 1965. It's clear that vaccination had an impact on the epidemic, polio in the past and measles very soon. Now we are in the times of vaccinal hesitancy. Society has changed, and so the individuals. You see this postcard in the 70s, pas d'hésitation, vaccination, let's go. Now, the educated citizen wants to find information by himself, thanks to the new technology. He claims his right to health, of course, but he wants his autonomy, and he does no longer accept decisions made over his body. He no longer, in other words, trusts authorities. Neither the state, nor the health professionals, nor the experts, nor the companies. In France, for a long time, the history made a difference. We had, I think, the French people, and probably others as well, adhere to an ideal vaccine, 100% effective, no untoward effect, painless, free, if possible, for all diseases, and with lifelong immunity. And now people add to all this another thing. They want vaccines tailor-made for the individual, even involving, for example, the description of their personal genetic makeup, which means a lot of money, and for the time is totally out. And Pasteur, of course, had such a legend and a myth attached to it. A picture for Strasbourg, Pasteur's rabies vaccination against young Alsatian Meister. You can see the mother, and of course it was not exactly true to history. I suspect she never wore these clothes when she came to Paris. But Pasteur was important is that he coined in 1883 the word of vaccine, meaning the generic term vaccination. It means exactly attenuated virus, sense of poison, meaning of poison, virus vaccines. And you have the slogan, one disease, one virus, one vaccine, hopefully leading to the eradication of diseases. And you can see the victory on death monument in Paris at the turn of the century, and you can see that death is dropping her size. Vaccines of today are no longer experienced in the place where citizens are made, the school, the army. New vaccines. People don't understand why historically, when some epidemics have disappeared, there are still some compulsory vaccines against all diseases, while vaccines for important epidemics such as measles are not compulsory. It's contradictory. And the new vaccines are difficult to understand. For example, HPV is difficult to understand. Our babies' bodies have become gendered bodies with vaccination. It's difficult to explain. In the past, vaccine had their ups and downs because of scientific unsolved questions. BCG, there was the famous BCG trial in Lübeck, and asking questions about the transformation of attenuated virus, attenuated vaccine strains. Today, if vaccine production is more standardized and supposedly much safer than in the past, you still have many immunological questions. My friend and colleague will talk to you after me about that. Because of the complexity of the immune response and the dogma of the uniqueness of the individual, means the diversity, the human diversity of bodies. So I will just say, to conclude, what happened with our parliament in France about vaccination? After hearing the popular conclusion, our committee in last November, proposed to extend the obligation of vaccines from the 3 remaining compulsory vaccines to all the vaccines which may be turned up to be useful for the population. It means 11 vaccines. That was very bold. We mentioned medical exemptions, but we have to understand that it's not only to lead to 11 vaccines, which of course is kind of scary. It means that we recommended a broad program including not only this question about the vaccinal agenda, but measures for improving education, training of health professionals, health in schools, which is now close to nothing, and the creation of a site, we are in the modern times, managed by the French Institute for Public Health, and on this site, people could exchange their observation and discuss the effects of vaccines. It is a kind of a vaccinal trial at the population level. But I must say that for the present time, the government has not officially reacted to our recommendation. It's waiting for elections. So my conclusion, that the debate of vaccines may be an opportunity, and I think you are certainly very sensitive to that, for restoring trust, political trust, social trust, inside nations, and also for stimulate exchange inside the European community, between European citizens and beyond. I know that you are not only European in this room, and I'm happy about that. So I'm predicting a forum on vaccinations at the European level, where we discuss how can scientists converse with the citizens. The vaccination issue, for me, is an opportunity to revive democracy and to make people participate to the scientific debate. In other words, to seal up a new contract between science and societies. Thank you. So I apologize because I have to go, but I think you can have my PowerPoint, and Chloé, my son, heartfully will give you my mail, so don't hesitate if you have questions. I can answer.
Thank you very much, Marion. Thank you, Anne-Marie Moulin. So we can see that vaccination subject is a political one. And we can say also that physicians, and especially general practitioners, are the cornerstone of vaccination implementation in most countries, and their recommendations play an influential role in their patient vaccine behavior. Miss Karina Catalano, you are a patient, you are a medical secretary, you have no conflict of interest, and you don't belong to any patient organization. Can you tell us what do you expect from your family doctor during a consultation about vaccination?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank Chloé for giving me the opportunity to be here today, for accepting me. I am from Brazil and I speak Portuguese and also a bit of English and French, so I'll try not to stutter so much so that you can understand me. As a patient, I would like to tell you about my experience as a patient, and also as a mother of two. Me being originally from Brazil, where they're very hot on being vaccinated, I've always had my vaccines up to date, and but at the age of 21, I moved to the UK, where I also obviously had to have all my vaccines up to date as well. But to be honest, I never knew about patients and people being hesitant about being vaccinated, because to me it's such a normal thing that I would never expect someone telling me that no, I don't want to be vaccinated. You don't know the components of a vaccine, you don't know the ingredients, you don't know what the vaccines are made for. I never had anyone telling me this up until a few years ago, where I worked for 13 and a half years in a hospital, 13 years, sorry, in a hospital in London, and we were told to get the flu jab. So then all the members of staff were told to have it done, and it was a compulsory thing. So then my work colleagues, they told me, there's no way I'm going to have this vaccine because this flu jab, because it's made of live viruses and lots of other things. I could have side effects, and even one of my colleagues, they told me she ended up getting the flu, even though she was vaccinated. So she said, how come I got the flu even though I was vaccinated? So there's no way I'm being vaccinated against it. So to me, it was a very normal thing, and that was when I I learned that there were some people for and against the vaccination, really, being vaccinated. And me, just before I fell pregnant, back into, 2011, I think, just before falling pregnant, I went to see my GP over in London, and I explained to her that I was planning to fall pregnant, and whether she would recommend me to have to be vaccinated before falling pregnant in order to prevent my baby to have any serious diseases. And obviously she was quite straightforward, and she was very good at saying that it was necessary for me to be vaccinated against all this before falling pregnant. So I had to wait. I ended up waiting another three or 4 months before falling pregnant, and I was quite happy that I was kind of like protected, and so was my unborn baby, if you like, because I wasn't pregnant yet. But and I think what was more painful to me, obviously, after I fell pregnant and I had my healthy girl, Alessia, who turns 5 next week, I went to have her vaccinated for the first time, and she had a BCG, and I never had in my mind, I never thought about whether a vaccine would be harmful to my daughter, or whether having lots of vaccines at any one time would cause any problems. I did question myself about the side effects on a tiny little baby, and about whether she would have like an excruciating pain after getting vaccinated. That was my main concern, my main worry. Not so much with what the vaccine was made of, or whether there would be any problems about the ingredients or anything like that. But my main concern was my daughter, really, whether she would be okay after it or not, whether she would get a swollen arm or a red patch on her legs or on her arm or wherever in her body. So I was more distressed in seeing her crying after being vaccinated than anything else. That was basically my main concern. And I think it's, to me, as a normal person, as a patient and as a medical secretary, I think it's pretty normal to be vaccinated against serious diseases nowadays, because we all know that, for example, the flu, it's a virus that is spread during winter, so it's more than normal to be vaccinated against something that it can be very painful. I mean, I don't know whether some of you already had the flu, but it is very distressing. You stay in bed for quite a few days. And the same happened to my son, who's 2.5. Both of them, they all have these vaccines all up to date, and I'm proud to say that I am for the vaccines, for vaccination, never been against it. And I remember that a few months ago, 1 or 2 months ago, we had a phone call from the LARS, the state, the agency, here of health, saying that they diagnosed a case of meningitis in the Moulin, it's a region here in France, and this case was diagnosed in a nursery or in a primary school, I'm not sure. And then some of these children, they came to the GP surgery where I work at to get preventive treatment. So then obviously the doctor I work with, my boss, he was really straightforward and he was very happy to prescribe preventive treatment to all these children. So to me it's kind of like really, really important to get vaccinated against all those serious diseases which I mean, obviously if we know there is a way to prevent them, why not be vaccinated against it? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Catalano. So we heard about the patient view, but what about general practitioners? What about professionals? Health professionals are generally strong supporters of vaccination. However, some of them could be categorized as vaccine hesitant. Indeed, physicians may share some of the same questions and concerns expressed by the general population. And these hesitant physicians were shown to be the less convincing relays to recommend vaccines to their patients. And they are a determinant on patient decision-making process. So I invited Mrs. Marion Mathieu, a scientific teacher in Tous Chercheurs Association. She has no conflict of interest. And Dr. Annick Guimezanes, who is immunologist and who belongs to Sciences Program researcher in INSERM. She has no conflict of interest too. So can you give us the current scientific knowledge about vaccination?
So hello everybody, and first I would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk today. So as you all know, our immune system can be divided in two parts. First, the innate immune system, which corresponds to the first response of our immune system when there is a microbe that is entering in the body. And its response is characterized by an early, very fast response, which is quite standardized and the same each time there is a microbe that is entering in the body. And after, there is the adaptive immune system, whose response took few days to happen, and this response is very adapted, very specific to the microbe that is entering the body. Another specificity of this adaptive immune system is that it's characterized by a memory. That means that if there is a microbe that is entering in the body, you will have B and T cells that will be activated, and they will be kept in the body like memory T and B cells that can be activated very quickly after a second exposure to the same microbe. And these two systems, innate and adaptive, they interact together and they are highly regulated. So when we are talking about vaccination, this vaccination takes advantage of the memory of this adaptive system. That means instead of waiting for this first exposure to the microbe, by vaccination you simulate this first exposure to create memory T and B cells that will be activated very quickly when our body will be in contact with the microbe. So when we are talking about vaccination and vaccines, you've got two different types of vaccines. The first type is live attenuated vaccines, and they contain wild microbe that has been attenuated weakened before being introduced in the vaccines. This type of vaccine never have adjuvant inside, and their efficiency most of the time is very effective following the first dose of vaccination. And this type of vaccine, they are contraindicated for people that have that are immunosuppressed, either by medicines or because of their disease. And as opposed to these live vaccines, you've got what we call inactivated vaccines. So they contain either the whole microbe that has been killed, or most of the time it's only fragments of the microbe. It can be toxoids, like for diphtheria or tetanus, or it can be pieces of the microbe, or very purified proteins or polysaccharides that are entering the composition of the membrane of the microbe. Most of the time, but not always, they contain adjuvant, and we will talk about this adjuvant after, and why we need to add adjuvant with this type of vaccine. And according to regarding their efficiency, most of the time they require multiple doses, and especially booster shots. They can be administered to immunosuppressed people, but sometimes it can lead to a poor response for them. And I'll just give you examples of these two types of vaccines. One question, because so I'm working in Chercheurs, and I'm doing lots of trainings for people with chronic disease, and especially trainings in vaccination. And most people ask Annick and I if it's dangerous to get vaccinated against different microbes at the same time. So what can happen when you get vaccinated? So the antigen, the piece, either the whole microbe or the piece of microbe, is here to give the specificity of your immune response. Depending on the type of vaccine, you can have either just one microbe in the vaccine. That's the case for yellow fever, for example, which is a live attenuated vaccine. It gives a very strong response of the immune system, and it's always as a single valence for the vaccine. You've got like MMR, so measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, which is also a live attenuated vaccine, and it contains 3 different viral antigens in the same vaccine. You also have, for example, pneumococcus. This time it's 13 or 23 antigens of the same microbe, so different pieces of the microbe in the same vaccine. And in France, for example, we've got the hexavalent vaccine that contains pieces of 6 different microbes in the same vaccine. So our body is used to being surrounded of plenty, hundreds of different microbes, so it's not dangerous to get vaccinated against different microbes at once. And the benefit of having this type of vaccine that mix different microbes at the same time is that you've got less vaccination shots, less adjuvant also. Instead of having different adjuvants added in different vaccines, since you've got just one shot, it allows to decrease the number of adjuvants. And it's also another benefit, especially when you talk about children vaccination. It helps having a rapid protection against different antigens in one step. So, talking about adjuvants, which is one of the questions we often have, especially in France, why do we need adjuvants? So, the antigen is for the specificity of the response, thanks to vaccination. And for the killed, so for the killed vaccine, you need sometimes to add adjuvant. And adjuvant is here to enhance the response, especially when the antigen is just purified proteins. They are not by themselves enough immunogenic. So, because they are lacking signals that help to stimulate the innate immune system. For example, they don't have like danger signal, or what we call the POMP, pathogen-associated molecular patterns, which are motifs that are recognized by the innate system to activate them. So with these very highly purified proteins, you need to add adjuvants in the vaccine composition to stimulate the innate system. So depending on the adjuvant, you've got different modes of actions of these adjuvants. And let's see, you've got two different types of mode of action. Adjuvant can be used as a carrier, a deposition mode of action, or it can directly immunostimulate the innate systems. And some of them are using these two types of mode of action to stimulate the immune system. So here you've got, for example, the mineral salts, the aluminium salts, which is both immunostimulation and carrier mode of action. And depending on the adjuvant, they can either stimulate mainly B lymphocytes and conduct to the creation of antibodies. That's what we call Th2 response. And so that's the case of the mineral salts and especially the aluminium salts. And some adjuvants are here to stimulate mainly what we call the cellular response of the adaptive immune system, which is also called Th1, or the TCD8 killer lymphocytes. And depending on the type of microbes, sometimes it's better to have this Th2 stimulation, or sometimes it's better to have the Th1 stimulation. So one major challenge in research, actually in vaccination, is to find good adjuvant that can stimulate either Th1 or Th2 depending on the type of microbes. For example, for HIV infection, it would be better to have Th1 activation. So, for example, for this case, aluminium would not be a very good adjuvant because it stimulates mainly Th2 and antibodies, which is not the best way to deal with this HIV-1 infection. So to create a good adjuvant that stimulates the good part of the adaptive immune system, and also to find adjuvants that don't give a high toxicity to the organism. So when we're talking about vaccination, you get vaccinated both to protect yourself and also to protect people around you. So we just use two situations. That's what we call herd immunity for vaccination. So this situation one, we've got a big population, a community, in which very few people are immunized. There are just the yellow person in this picture. And you've got in blue people that are not immunized but that are still healthy. You imagine the situation where there is an infectious disease that is arriving in this community, and we'll have in red people that are not immunized, but they are sick and they are contagious. For example, measles, it's this case, one person infected can infect 20 persons around her. So you will have, in this case, the spread of the disease very quickly because many people are not immunized and they will receive the microbe and develop the disease. If you take this second situation where you've got many people in yellow, so who are immunized and healthy, if you've got the same disease that is entering, even if it's very contagious, because of the high number of people that are immunized, you will avoid the spread of the disease in this community. And you can see there are few people in blue, but because or thanks to the protection offered by these yellow people, you won't have the spread of the disease. So I just want to take one example, it's measles. There was a upsurge of this disease observed in France during 2008 and 2013. You have on the axis the years and months, and on the ordinates the number of cases. So during 9 years, that means 2008 to 2016, more than 24,000 cases in France, and the peak it was in 2011, where more than around 15,000 people were contracted measles. Now, if we look more in details the vaccinal status of people that contracted measles, you see that, so on the axis is age brackets, you see that most people in blue were not vaccinated. More than 80% of people that contracted measles were not vaccinated, so that's quite normal. You've got people that had just one dose of vaccination, that means 14%, and you have to know that you need, okay, you know, I guess, that you need 2 doses of vaccination to be properly protected. And after, you've got around 5% of the people that received 2 doses of vaccination, so that were properly vaccinated, but they still contracted measles. So this type of person are what we call poor responder to vaccination. So the only way for them to get protected is to have people immunized around them, just to avoid giving them the disease, because they cannot be protected by themselves. And so this is not just typical to France, because here on the site ECDC, which is the European Center for Disease Prevention and Controls, you can see in red, depending on the size of circles, the more the circle is, the more people were contracted measles. You can see that in Europe, you've got many countries where you've got measles that are outbreak of measles also. And measles is a very contagious disease. So even if you've got many people that are vaccinated or immunized, there should be at least 95% vaccinated to just limit the outbreak of the disease. And as vaccine is a medicine, it's always the question of the balance between benefit and risk. What's the benefit of getting vaccinated and what's the risk of getting vaccinated? So it's quite interesting to compare the benefit-risk balance between vaccine and what we call the conventional medicine. So the indication, as we just we have just seen, for vaccine, it's both at personal interest. You want to get protected by yourself, but it's also a collective indication because of the herd immunity. Whereas for conventional medicine, you just take, for example, paracetamol because you've got headache, and it will have no impact for people around you. The advantages of vaccine for people that get vaccinated, most of the time it's healthy subjects, so it's invisible for them, especially if you don't see the disease just in front of you. So at least at short or medium term, you don't have the impression of, you don't feel the benefit of getting vaccinated. And for conventional medicine, most of the time you take pills because you are sick, and after you've got the decrease of your symptoms. So that's quite visible for conventional medicine. The target audience is patients for conventional medicine, and they ask for these pills, for these medicines, whereas for vaccine, most of the time it's healthy people and they don't really ask for getting vaccinated. It's like they have no choice and we vaccinate them. And the adverse effects, both vaccines and conventional medicines have adverse effects, but it's more visible for vaccines because you are healthy, you get vaccinated, and if you've got side effects, you see them more easily than for conventional medicines because you've got symptoms. Thanks to the medicine, you've got decrease of your symptoms. You can have side effects, but they can be hidden by your symptoms of the disease. So the perception of this benefit-risk balance is very low for vaccines, and it's most of the time high for conventional medicine. So when we look at the evolution of this immunization program, in red you've got the disease. So before vaccination, you've got many people that have disease, and if a vaccine is created, you will have the vaccine coverage that is increasing, and hopefully the number of people that contract the disease that will decrease. So the red curve will decrease and the green one will goes up. And the adverse, the side effects, the more people get vaccinated, the more people will have side effects. Even if it's very rare side effects, the more people get vaccinated, so it will increase. And it will increase till a time where people, they don't see the disease anymore. They start to see adverse effects, so they don't want to get vaccinated anymore. So you will have a decrease of the confidence of people and decrease of the people that get vaccinated. Since you've got less people vaccinated, that's what we've seen for measles in France, for example. You've got an outbreak of the disease. So the red curve goes up. And after, you continue, more and more people get vaccinated, the disease is decreasing, and after you are at the point where you almost only see side effects due to vaccination and not of the disease. So at that moment, you need to totally eradicate the disease, and that's what has been done for smallpox. So at the end, there were just very, very few people that contracted smallpox. You had side effects of the vaccination, so we needed to eradicate smallpox, and that's what has been done. And now we don't need to get vaccinated against smallpox, so we don't have side effects due to smallpox and due to smallpox vaccination. Okay, so that's what the World Health Organization wants to do for poliomyelitis since 94, I think. It was the aim, just to eradicate poliomyelitis, but it's still, you still have people that have poliomyelitis and it's not eradicated at the moment. Annick.
Just continue what Marion said about autoimmune disease and infection and vaccination. So, autoimmunity, as you know, is a problem of immune system. We begin to attack the self-body. So, when you have this kind of disease, the treatment is an immunosuppressive one. So in that case, people enhance the risk to be sick and need vaccination to protect them. But in the same time, infection and also vaccination is sometimes suspected to provoke autoimmunity. So the point is there, you have people who need vaccination and you don't dare to vaccinate them. So what is an autoimmune disease? A very complex disease which takes time to instill. There is a genetic profile and there is environmental factors which are generally unknown, except for us for the gluten in case of celiac disease. But it takes a long time to go from normal immunity to clinical illness. And at the time we don't know what is the beginning and what is the evolution of the disease. So the question is to know if the vaccine can be the cause of the disease when you do the diagnostic of an autoimmune disease after vaccination. For that, there is some retrospective studies like this, which is a study which analyzes the health status of veterans of the US Army, which are every time checked, and their blood sample are get conserved, frozen, and you can study retrospectively. So people take 1,000 veterans which have lupus detected there. And they take sample of blood for this person and analyze the autoantibodies from against different components. As you know, lupus is a systemic disease with a lot of autoantibodies, and you can see that you are there at the time of diagnostic, and you go up in the time, and you see that up to 5 years before the onset of disease, you have a lot of people with a lot of autoantibodies. So the lupus is coming slowly and diagnosed at this time. So if you put a vaccination there, it's very easy to think that it's because of the vaccine, but in fact it's 5 years earlier that the disease begins. So this is the point to make the difference between triggering and cause a disease. You cannot, you'll never be sure that the vaccine do nothing, because whatever you do to the immune system, even pregnancy, can modify your reaction in case of autoimmune disease. There is a lot of problem with endocrinology and immunology, and people who have autoimmune disease, female who have autoimmune disease, knows that during pregnancy they can have better or very bad effect for the evolution of the malady, of their illness. So, concerning the relation between vaccination and autoimmune disease, there is some problem with flu, which seems to give Guillain-Barré syndrome. You know, so I think that it's a problem of myelin damage, which causes a transient paralysis. No, okay, thank you. So, what happens? The Guillain-Barré, it's a syndrome. It exists. There is around 10 to 20 cases for 1 million persons a year. And after vaccination with against the flu, it was done mass vaccination in 1976 in US. There is a lot of augmentation of Guillain-Barré syndrome, and in fact, statistically, it was only 1 or 6 cases more. But for people who get influenza this year, it was 40 to 70 cases more. So, in fact, there is a problem, a little problem with vaccination, but a big problem with the sickness. So it's exactly the problem that Marion explained just now around the benefit risks. And the problem is that with vaccination, you get less cases. More recently, it's a problem of narcolepsy, and this is really a problem and a question for the vaccinology community, because it appears that after this mass vaccination, the pandemic in 2009, that there is an augmentation of narcolepsy in young people, more in Sweden and Finland, few cases in France, and not at all in Canada. Or it was caused by AS3 adjuvanted Perdrix vaccine, and only this one. And it was presumably the same in Europe and Canada, but in fact there is no side effect in Canada. So it's a lot of discussion now to try to find why there is a difference between Canada and Europe. and also if it is a problem adjuvant of H1N1. In conclusion of this point, I would take attention of the problem of level of activation of the immune system during infection or during vaccination. If you have a person which is susceptible to autoimmune disease, genetically susceptible, in general, a big infection stimulates hardly the immune system and is capable to stimulate an autoimmune reaction by overactivation of the immune system. In general, the vaccination allows a mild stimulation and avoid autoimmunity in benefit to immune response regulated. So to conclude, because you may have some autoimmune patient in your patiental, the general rule for vaccination of immunosuppressed patient is to give no live or attenuated vaccine. I think you know it already. But to get attention that it's possible that these people react less than normal people to vaccination, and also they have risk of particular disease because of the treatment, for example, and need special vaccination. So you have to evaluate their vaccinal status, and you have to recommend them that if they cannot be vaccinated, they cannot stimulate their families and relatives to vaccinate for protection.
Thank you, Dr. Annick, Guimezanes, and Dr. Madame Miss Marion Mathieu. So, in this plenary, we saw the history of vaccination, and we saw that vaccination had its ups and downs, and this is not the only crisis that we live. We saw with patients that Madame Catalano, that patients need to be reassured by their general practitioners, and they can, even if they trust in vaccination, they can have doubts with talking to their fellows and families and everything. So GP, general practitioners, have a big role for vaccination, and general practitioners need to get informed about vaccination, to be sure of the information they give to their patients. And when it is like now vaccination crisis, it's very difficult for us to have an opinion. So some advices for you, if you want some slides. In conclusion, when you don't know, the rule is to see the evidence-based medicine. It's really important. And when you get informed with evidence-based medicine, you are able to do the benefits-risk balance appropriately. With this information, you are able after to give an informed decision to the patient, you can give them some tools to make them having a decision. Websites orientation, for example, because when they go to forums, they can have some bad information. So we have to advise them to go to the good websites, and we can also give them papers or anything what you have. And last but not least, it is really easy to generate that So, and it is really difficult to prove scientifically an information. So be careful, and I hope this plenary helped you for your practice of every day. Thank you very much.